Anti-cruise activists are set to destroy your cruise experience from New York City. We got a lot to talk about. Let's roll the intro. Hey, welcome to the Midships channel. It's your Captain Corey. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. And New Yorkers are suffocating. That's our top story today, as 34,000 plus semi-trucks are idling at their cruise port, destroying the vibrant, beautiful climate, the unpolluted, beautiful ecosystem that is New York City, untouched by man. Of course, I'm totally joking. I'm laughing in the face of Alexa Aviles and Eric Botcher, two city council members from Brooklyn who've just introduced a bill that mandates any visiting cruise ships plug into shore power when docked at the Manhattan Cruise Terminal or at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal. And these two don't seem to be your regular climate conscious people. Then don't get me wrong here. Do not mince my words that I'm about to say. I am very happy to support the move to cleaner solutions in the future, cruising included, and in day-to-day life, well, I've lived that for a very long time. I was an early adopter, for instance, of hybrid car technology, and I'm becoming an adopter of electric car technology here soon. So it's not that I'm averse to this. I just know how these types of people will pull on emotions, and they'll use statistics that really aren't necessarily correlative or all that factual to try to get their point across. Now, these two city council members, they have brought out a statistic saying, what would people think if right behind them, right there by the cruise port, were 34,400 semi-trucks all idling at once? They say there'd be lots of cameras right now filming it, and something would be done about it immediately. But that's how much pollution they say is generated by a cruise ship when it's in port. And they went on to further make the claim that the billowing clouds of smoke from cruise ships are already affecting residents of New York City. Certainly, though, it's not the millions of cars in the city and the lack of trees and grass and plants to filter the air. None of that is negatively affecting the residents of New York City. It's obviously the cruise ships that are there for a few hours, a few times a week. However, these city council officials say the residents are suffocating and the city must act now. And cruise companies should not be allowed in New York unless they respect the community's rules and the quality of life of the residents, says Alexa Aviles. And look, it's important to respect the places that we travel as cruisers. You should leave it nicer or in the same condition as when you went there. So look, Alexa Aviles, you make a decent point. I just don't think you know very much about what you're talking. So let's talk about what they want shoreside electricity to power these ships. So they can pull into port, turn off the generators, the engines in the ship, whatever you call them, and plug in, basically like you would plug in a vacuum cleaner, and everything's just going to run like it normally would. And this has been successfully used for over a decade now around the world at other cruise ports. The problem begins when you start to analyze the cost. Consider the fact that even if the infrastructure existed near the port to bring enough power to these cruise ships, even if it exists right now, and it's already paid for, which it's probably not, let's be honest. Each unit alone, just the arm that holds the cable and swings it out to the cruise ship, the arm costs nearly $250,000. Now do the math. How many piers do we have? How many of these units do we have to install? How much is going to have to be charged to each cruise passenger or cruise line to help subsidize this green project that's not really all that green? Or how much are New York City taxpayers, who are already some of the highest taxed people in the world, going to have to pay for this? There's a lot of questions, and I'm not sure if the ends justify the means. This seems to just be a pie in the sky climate person's dream. And look, I don't think anybody here on this channel wants to wantonly disrespect the planet or destroy things and leave them worse than when we got there. But it's silly to imagine that a few ships, a few hours a week, are the main problem facing New York City's climate and environment right now. Add to the fact that a lot of cruise ships aren't necessarily manufactured to connect even to an electrical grid on land. Well, how much are these upgrades going to cost on these ships if, say, for instance, MSC has to add shore power availability to the Miravilia if it doesn't already have it? Great question. How much in labor? How much in planning? There's a whole problem. Now, here's the thing, though. Modern cruise ships, the new ones, well, they're being manufactured to already have shore power ready, which is a good thing. They're being manufactured to run on cleaner fuels, liquefied natural gas. So we're already moving leaps and bounds in the direction that these two individuals from New York want the industry to move. And I think that it's not necessarily going to be regulation that moves this forward, the needle forward, even though it tends to do it. I think it's going to be the availability of these technologies. Think about when electric cars first came out. Nobody wanted one because there was nowhere to charge them quickly, right? But now that problem is basically solved, at least for the big auto manufacturer of EVs. And I think we're going to see that in the future for cruise ships. But these unserious type of bans, this is a very sad situation for New Yorkers. And now one more gold star example of what geniuses, what absolute green geniuses these two city council members are up in New York, Alexa and Eric. Well, Alexa says, "We were never asked, we were never engaged, and no benefit of this transaction," she's talking about the cruise ships coming to New York, "has ever quite hit our community." Go ahead right now, sitting there, imagine to yourself, you're a economist, a green economist, or a cruise economist. What benefits might the residents living in and around Brooklyn or Manhattan cruise terminal have by cruise ships coming into their ports? It's kind of crazy that Eric and Alexa are incapable or unwilling to say that benefits exist. Why don't you run on down to the comments and let me know a few of the benefits that cruise ships have to the communities that they're based in. Now, if this story made you a little bit upset, well, a good way to improve your mood quickly, it's with a little bit of retail therapy, and you could double dip with this, because if you got a cruise coming up, well, why not do some retail therapy ahead of this amazing cruise you have planned in the Midships Amazon store? It's actually a triple dip because you're supporting my work and you don't have to pay any extra money to do it. You can get some great items in there, everything I take with me every single time I cruise. I think you'd love to have it along with you as well. Check it out. There's a link in the description down below. I'd really appreciate you supporting my work. So if you made it this far into today's episode, well, why don't you join the 20,000 other active Midships family subscribers by hitting that subscribe button right down there. While you're at it, slam the thumbs up button. If you'd like to tell all of these legislators who hate cruises, why don't you all take a vacation and maybe consider doing it on a cruise ship? Thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. And until next time, well, of course, we'll see ya on the Midships.